Hey guys, and welcome back for another tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this super cute expandable zipper box pouch. This is a perfect little gift to give this holiday season. It's sort of a part 2 of the expandable zipper pouch I posted back in March that had a ton of drama if you were around for that, except this is the box pouch version. I will go ahead and link the first version in the information icon. So of course, with all my tutorials, there will be a blog post where you can find the measurements, links to all the materials and tools I use in all of my videos, and of course, if you're not already, I would love it if you subscribe, hit that notification bell to be alerted of new and future tutorials, and of course smash the like button, as the kids like to say. Okay, so let's get into it. So for this tutorial, I will be using cotton fabric, and I went ahead and put medium weight interfacing on the back of all of my pieces. I'm going to be using a zipper, but I'm going to be using a longer zipper than I actually need, and a swivel clasp. So like I said, all the pieces and measurements will be over at the blog post. The first thing I'm going to do is take my outer piece, lay it with the right sides facing up, placing the zipper on one of the short side with the zipper pulled down, and then place the lining piece on top so that the fabrics are right sides together. I'm going to clip it, and I have that in the middle of my zipper, and you'll see later on why I do that. And I'm going to go ahead and sew down the one side of the zipper. I switched over to a zipper foot, so if you're new to zipper feet, I will have a tutorial in the top right hand corner of this video all about zipper feet. And then after I sewn that, I flipped my fabric right side out so that I could do a top stitch along that edge next to my zipper. After that, I'm going to take it out of the sewing machine, and I'm going to fold up the outer fabric onto the zipper, and then I'm going to flip it and then fold up my lining fabric. And so again, we're going to be sandwiching the other side of the zipper with the two fabrics and having those right sides together. And then again, we're going to sew down the one side. Now the reason why I want to have a longer zipper is because I have a closed end zipper. It's going to be harder for me to do the top stitch. So I'm going to undo my zipper pull, and then I'm going to flip it so that I have all the right sides out, and then I can do that top stitching along the zipper. With the zipper being a closed end, it would just be harder to do that if I had a zipper that was the perfect size. Now if you have a zipper that is by the yard and you would install your zipper pull, later, then that's fine. You can just do it the way you need to do it and then install your zipper pull after. But if you have closed end zippers, then I would definitely recommend using a longer zipper pull just to make things easier. So this is how it should look so far. And now we're going to flip it inside out, and when we do that, we're going to have the lining on one side of the zipper and then the outer on the other side of the zipper. And we want to sandwich those again with the zipper, but we want to find the center of the lining and the outer fabric. So I'm just going to take that, pull it from the center zipper, and then I'm just going to find the just the center, and then I just put a little snip in with my scissors. As you can see, there's a little triangle in there, and I'm just going to line it up with the zipper teeth on the top and on the bottom. And then I'm going to sew right across that with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So you need to make sure that for this step, we're going to be doing it at the closed end of your zipper. We're not going to be doing that on the top where your open end is, because I am snipping off this zipper. So of course you don't want to snip off your zipper pull. So now we're going to box the bottom of our pouch. I'm going to be doing a 1/2 inch box bottom, but you can make it larger if you like. And of course, when you're measuring it, you want to start to measure from that seam. So that's a perfect 1/2 inch right there. So it looks a little longer, but that's just because I'm measuring starting at that seam. Now next, we're going to box the bottom with those notches, but when you start to do it, you might actually have it want to unravel because you did cut those stitches. So I'm actually going to, off camera, just go ahead and sew the bottom again, just to tack those corners, just so that I don't have it coming apart on me. And then we can start to box the bottom. So you're just going to take each little notch and then kind of flatten them, and you want to line up the bottom seam of your pouch with the center of the other side. So it's kind of finicky at first, but you want to do the top notch and then do the bottom notch. So the lining notch and the outer fabric notch, lay those on top of each other, and then you will just clip those together, and then we'll sew that all at one time. And we'll do that for both corners of our pouch. So I'm just going to sew that with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And I'll just do that again. This side didn't give me as hard of a time, so hopefully you can see exactly what I'm doing. Now if you're new to box bottoms and things like that, then it will kind of feel weird doing this, but once you've done it many times, then it gets pretty easy. So like I said before, we're going to do that 1/4 of an inch seam allowance right across. And you can, back stitch back and forth, just because this is a little bit of a bulky seam. You want to make sure your stitches are nice and tight. Now normally when I am sewing, I always like to hang around at 2.5 for my regular seams. And when I do my top stitching, I usually like to switch over to a 3 stitch length. It starts to get a little bit bulky in my next step when I start to put on the bias tape, and we're going to put a little strap with that swivel clasp on. So you might need to bump your needle up to maybe a 14 or a 16 just to get through those layers, because I find that with my machine, if I don't have a good sturdy needle on, or at least a really sharp needle, then my stitches start to skip and then it doesn't look so good, and then I gotta start all over again. So next we're going to go ahead and we're just kind of pleat the top of our bag. So you can pleat this as much or as little as you want. If you want to pleat it so that the box pouch was basically the whole, exactly square, or you can pleat it a little bit more and have it sort of taper in at the top. That's totally up to you what you want to do. Before we go on to sewing it, we're going to pull that zipper pull down, and then we will sew it right across with like a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. We're not going to do a 1/4 of an inch because we're going to apply some of our bias tape, so we don't want to see these seams, but it's we're kind of just basting it into place at this point. So next I'm just going to work on the little strap for the little swivel clasp. So if you've already seen some of my videos, and you'll know how I usually do that. I'll take a piece of fabric. This one is 2 inches wide, fold it in half, and then I will fold in both sides a 1/4 of an inch, and then I will fold it again, and then I will sew either down both sides or just one side. Doesn't really matter, it's up to you what you want to do. And I will do that with a 3 stitch length because that's what I like to do for all of my top stitching. So I usually make these little straps super long, just because I'm not usually really great at doing those things. So if I make them longer, I can kind of cut the best part of the strap and use that, if that makes sense. So I give you like a good amount, but of course it doesn't have to be that long. So I'm probably going to use like 1.5 inches, maybe even less. So I just trimmed off that excess zipper, and then if there's any extra uneven fabric, you can go ahead and even that all up. And then I took that little piece, like I said, I just cut off the best part of it. And then, so I think it's probably like 2 inches long actually, but even then I still cut some off. I'm just gonna place that right in the center over my zipper, and then I clip that into place, and then I'll take my piece of bias tape, which is just another 2-inch piece that measures a little bit wider than the box pouch, and I will lay that flat on top, curling it around the sides. So we want it to wrap around the sides a good amount, not too much, but just enough. And then we're going to sew right across that, and we're going to do a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance for this step. And then again, we'll trim off any excess, any of your little strap there, or if you want to even it up again. And then we will flip it up. And then if you want to get your iron out for this step, you can do that. If not, then you can kind of just wing it. I just fold it down once, and then I fold it down again. And then if you want to press that again, you can do that. You just want it to line up perfectly on both sides, so that when you do your seam right across, it goes right through your little binding there, and it looks kind of the same on both sides. And then that's pretty much it. So I did have to have my thicker needle to get through all of those layers, because is a good amount, like 8 or something layers of cotton. So, you know, depending on the fabric you choose. So that's pretty much it. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you do, I would love it if you subscribed, of course. Don't forget to share it with all your friends, Pinterest and Facebook, and of course all my social media is all linked below. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next tutorial. Bye guys!